Well, hi guys, welcome back to another video on what is a rather cold and damp day. It's about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius here and drizzling with rain and generally miserable. Let's get rid of the glasses. I need these to see what I'm doing. So what we're going to talk about today? Well, I've purchased another wood stove, and this was the cheapest wood stove I could find on Amazon at the time. I believe it was £17, sub £18, but I'll put the price up here. It was a deal, so I just couldn't resist, to be honest with you. So I bought it. This was going to be a first burn video, but unfortunately I've already burnt it because my first attempt at this video, I realised I'd assembled the stove incorrectly because inside the packet there were no instructions. It is a one Tigris stainless steel slot together stove. It is not one of the folding stoves where you just pop it open and it's together. And in all honesty, it's quite fiddly to put together. But we'll give it another go and we'll see how we do. So, what did you get in there? No instructions, a nice bag to store it in. I'll just pop it back in its bag and I'll just show you how thin it is actually, because that's one of the things about this stove that I do like, is its pack size. Not necessarily its pack weight, but its pack size. So as you can see, extremely thin. It's probably 8 or 9 mil thick. In terms of weight, it's about the same weight as my Solognac, maybe a little bit heavier. But in terms of pack size, you can see there's quite a difference. But you do have to bear in mind, in this stove, it is fold out, and there is rather a fire blanket in there, and the fire blanket I would be taking with me regardless anyway, so that would equal out the difference. So let's get back out the bag again and see if with my freezing cold fingers I can manage to slot this together, shall we? So, having learnt from experience, you have 2 base plates, one solid, one perforated to give ventilation to the actual fire. If you look, they have 3 tangs on them. Side without a tang goes to the front, and the front is this piece here with the one Tigris emblem on. The way to assemble it is to start with the 3 sides. One of the sides is shorter. This gives you some adjustment in the trivets, as you'll see later, and you slot the 3 sides together like so. And I'm going to be doing this back to front, so I might make a mess of it. And then your solid base plate goes in the lowest hole, your perforated goes in the next one up, and then you have to try and jiggle these so as they all slot together nicely, like so. And then your front just slots down over them, he says. Oh, I missed it. This is why I've quickly come to realise why people don't like these slot together stoves. I'm going to have to turn this onto its back so I can actually see what I'm doing. And there we have it. That's slotted together. Now it's all together, you can see that you can place the trivets either there or on the higher sides there, like so, which will adjust the distance from the flame. There are 2 feeding holes here and here for twigs, but as you can see, anything with any sort of size is not going in through that hole, so you would end up top feeding. So enough talking, let's get this baby lit, shall we? And seeing as it's so cold and so miserable and so damp out, things I do to put a video out, I must really love it. I'm going to use some wood wool. If I can get the lighter to light. The lighter is being a little bit temperamental because of the cold weather. Yep. Probably be quicker with a flint and steel at this rate. Hey, at last. Alright, so we'll get some wood wool lit. And we'll very quickly, as you can see from the first burn, I've got some sort of half burnt blocks of wood. We'll bang them in from the top and we'll let them take. Oh, warm these finger ends. Nothing better on a cold day, is the folks, than a nice fire, even if it's as little as this and enough to get a bit of heat into your finger ends. Bang a couple more bits in there and we'll let that take. And while that takes, I'll just get a few bits and bobs together so you can see what we can do with this stove. There's going to be no cooking, there's going to be no boiling water. Basically, I'm just going to do a pan fit. So I'll see you guys shortly. Right then, guys, so we're back. The fire is quite well established now. I've chucked a couple of little bits on. It does seem to burn quite well, if I'm honest with you. I was quite surprised because there doesn't appear to be a lot of ventilation around the bottom, but then I suppose these two openings for feeding twigs provide a lot of ventilation. Here, the two trivets, fitting them, you definitely need gloves if the fire's in, and they are extremely fiddly. It did take a good sort of 45 seconds to get everything lined up and in. And what I've got just to show you, I mean, that's the smallest Trangia 27 pan, which is a perfect fit on there, which is the same size as the kettle in terms of its base, if not slightly smaller. And you can adjust the trivets even closer together, which I shall attempt to do, like so. So no matter how small your cut was, there is a setting on the trivets that will allow you to sit it on there quite stable. You can see the fun and games you have with these trivets. There you go. So yeah, you could sit any size pan on there really. You will have to remove your pan to feed more wood in, which is a bit of a drawback with this stove, but it's not a deal breaker. But all in all, for the money, it's not a bad stove. In terms of as a wood burning stove, it's better than the Evernew Titanium DX stove that I love as an alcohol stove base, but it is also supposed to double up as a wood burner. Did a review of that last week, I believe, and that was absolutely pathetic, to be honest with you, and I will never ever use it as a wood burner again. This would be something to use as a just-in-case stove and be a just-in-case stove and be far superior to that. It is actually a usable stove. My one concern with this stove is that the actual ash pan is basically, which is the lower plate here, is about 6-7 millimeters. So if you would sit in this directly on any surface that could be damaged or could potentially catch fire, like I have here, after a sacrificial piece of wood down, I would not want to burn this directly on anything flammable or anything damageable by heat. So yeah, that's just something to bear in mind with this stove. And what we'll do now is we'll just cut away to me actually trying a trangia burner in there and see how it would work with a trangia burner should you wish to use it that way. And then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on this stove. Okay. So as you can see, guys, you can use this with a trangia if you put any of the base plates in the next to highest hole and have the two trivets on their highest setting. The distance to the base of the pan looks to be about right to use a trangia alcohol stove in there. So hope that's of some use to you guys. Right then, guys, time for my final thoughts on this stove. Still love the heat. Is it going to replace my Solognak as my sort of go-to wood stove? Admittedly, I don't use wood stoves a lot, but I've quite enjoyed using the Solognak. And the simple answer to that is no, not really. And the only, well, there's two reasons for that. One is it is so fiddly to put together and use. When you compare it to how easily this just folds out and everything drops into place, yeah, that alone would be enough to make me take that one. The addition of the fire blanket in that kit, for me, makes that a lot better value for money. I know it's more expensive, but once you've got that little pouch there, you're pretty safe. You can burn it on a woodland floor without too much worries. Whereas this one, you need to add to it. The only downside with the Solognak was that it struggled with the trangia burner, but I think I've got a solution for that, which will be a future video. If you're just starting out and you wanted something to play with, yeah, at sub £20, it represents value for money. There's no doubt about that. At that sort of price range for what you get, it's ideal. But this will be going back into its pouch, and I may even give this away, to be honest with you, if I can find somebody who can make a use for it. I can't see me using it again when I've got that. Not that it's a bad wood burning stove, it's just that it's not the one I'm going to be using. The pack size is ideal, but again, you would be taking the fire blanket with you or something to sit it on, or unless you were going somewhere where there was no danger of fire. So all in all, it's a reasonable stove for a very good price. And yeah, that's about all I can say about it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope it's been of some use to you guys. If I'd have watched a video like this before trying to set it up, I probably would have set it up correctly the first time. And I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, guys, above all, from a very, very cold and wet Derbyshire, keep on dabbling.